Magandang umaga, Malacañang Press Corps, at welcome sa ating press briefing ngayong araw, August the 1st. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. led the sectoral meeting this morning and discussed strategies to ensure sufficient rice supply and distribution of inputs to typhoon-affected farmers. Preparations for El Nino were also discussed. And to give us more details on this, we are joined by Agriculture Undersecretary Mercedita Sombilla and NFA Assistant Secretary for Operations Arnel de Mesa. Good morning, Yusek Sombilla and Asek de Mesa. Go ahead,
Morning.
Yusek.
Yeah, good morning, Daphne.
Good morning, Daphne. Good morning,
Hi.
everyone.
Go ahead, ma'am.
Yeah, you know that, yung global situation ngayon is a little bit, we have to be very careful about it kasi there are three actually major events that we are looking at. The withdrawal of Russia in the Black Sea Grant Initiative, yung ban ng India exports, although this is just for the non-basmati white rice, which is about 25% of the total export ng India of rice. No, most of its export are really the basmati that goes to the United States and Europe. No, and of course yung El Nino, which is now pronounced as something that would really happen towards the end of the year and into the first quarter of 2024. So the president really consulted and discussed with the DA various interventions that the Department of Agriculture is now going to be, preparing for. Actually, many of them are already ongoing in response to whatever the effect of these three global events are. And I think, we are prepared. We are the production for up to the second quarter, we have something like 38 to 39 to 39 days of stocks, no? And then we'll continue, the DA has already, prepositioned ways by which we could really increase production. The biggest rice production will still come sometime, kung hindi end of September, sometime in October. So we will be beefing up our supply, and of course the usual supply that we will be also getting from imports. So I think as of today, we are looking at sound pa rin naman yung supply and demand natin, as of today. But again, as the president is very much worried, we really have to discuss ways by which we could really mitigate, further, effect of this events that are now unfolding.
Okay, Asek de Mesa, would you like to add to that?
Yeah. In addition, we also discussed the response of the department because of Super Typhoon Egay. All the interventions of the Department of Agriculture are now in place in cooperation with our regional field offices and as well with the local government units, especially those affected regions and provinces in Region 2 and Cordillera and Region 1. Thank you.
Okay, let's open the floor to questions. Katrina Domingo, ABS-CBN.
Good morning, sir, ma'am. May we get an update on the cost of damage to agriculture due to the combined effects of Egay and Falcon, as well as the southwest monsoon?
Secretary.
Yeah, for now, as of to date, the estimated damage is already at 1.94 billion. The rice sector is about 950 million pesos. And for corn, that's about 730 million pesos. So yun po yung naapektuhan sa atin ngayon because of Super Typhoon Egay combined with Habagat.
Eden Santos, Net 25.
Good morning po, Yusek and Asek. Tanong lang po namin kung meron pong enough supply for 39 days. Ano po yung dahilan ng pagtaas ng presyo ng bigas sa mga pamilihan.
Nandun pa rin yung effect ng yung fertilizer and fuel cost, no? Kasi nagfluctuate pa rin ito. Primarily because of the siguro Black Sea Grant Initiative kasi maraming fertilizer nang gagaling doon. No? And then the fuel cost, nakita niyo naman, bumaba na siya, umakyat na naman. So the stability of this input cost. And these are really huge, huge percentage of the total cost of production of palay. In fact, if you look at the farm gate prices now, hindi na natin nakikita yung 16, 17 na farm gate prices ng palay ngayon, primarily because of this input cost, no? What we are looking at now is between 19 to 21 na farm gate prices. So that's one, no? Plus of course, yung speculations ng mga traders na yung baka tataas pa yung export, kaya siguro napupush yung ating domestic retail prices. But yung inflation, yung contribution ng rice sa inflation is still within the range. Yun lang ang inaambahan natin talaga na sana ma-maintain natin or mapa-lower pa natin. That's why we really have to put in place the right interventions at the right time. And so that's why we are talking very seriously on what we need to put on the ground.
Although po medyo siguro nasabay lang dun sa EGAY and habagat yung pagtataas nila na po. Anyway, nabanggit niyo po yung tatlong global incidents na makaka-apekto. Are we expecting na mas tataas pa yung presyo ng bigas sa halip na pababa, like target ng BBM administration na mapababa sa 20 pesos kada kilo?
Yung Black Sea Grant Initiative, hindi siguro tayo masyadong maapektuhan, no? It will affect the global food supply prices, no? Pero, hindi naman tayo masyadong, except for fertilizer, kung talagang ang corn natin, hindi naman lahat nang gagaling doon, no? So, yung impact niya sa atin may be very, very minimal, no? It may be through slightly elevated global food prices. Yung gaya ng sinabi ko, yung sa India, non-basmati rice na yun yung binane. And that's only about 25%. And dun sa data na nanggaling actually sa NRP, sa National Rice Program, so kung 25% of the 22 million metric tons na total export nila last year, that's only about 5 million tons, no? About close to 4 million ang already na ilabas nila bago mag-ban. So maliit na lang yung kumbaga na iban nila. So we are hoping na hindi rin ito makakaano. Ang problema nga lang, how the other exporting countries may respond to that. So yun ang mga talagang minomodulate natin.
So malinaw po na expect na natin na magkakaroon ng pagtaas sa presyo ng bigas. And yung pong hoarding, are we consider po ba natin yung baka magkaroon ng hoarding ng bigas para dahil nga sa mga pangyayari na ito? Isa po ba yun sa inyong binomonitor at binabantayan?
Binomonitor namin, yes. And we are really, praying sa ating mga traders, those who are importing rice or those who are having, na sana huwag nilang gawin, na i-hoard yung whatever stocks they have now. That has to really come out in the market.
Next
Thank you
question, Ivan Myrina, GMA7.
Yusek, has a decision been made after this morning's meeting? Has a decision been made as to the importation and at what volume and when?
Meron kaming ini-schedule. We will be scheduling the importation. We have already, remember nasa sanitary, phytosanitary, di ba? We have already something like 1.3 volume of applications that are already pending there. So what we're going to be doing is to really encourage the private sector to get this in, no? I think the president will really have to do some discussions, consultations with the private sector so that, for them to help us. I think we really need the help of the private sector in situations like this.
Sorry, kailan po ito?
Yun ang hindi pa namin
hindi pa.
i-schedule. But, those are the things. Yun ang mga measures that we are putting in place, to really, mitigate the impact of this, events.
Ma'am, also,
1.3
yeah.
million. Yeah.
Metric tons, yeah. Yun yung SPSIC application. But as you know, hindi lahat yun pumupunta. That's why we have to encourage the private sector to really, get all this in.
Ma'am, hindi ho ba, bakit ho 2 days na lang ang buffer stock ng NFA? Hindi ho ba dapat, according to the Rice Clarification Law, 9 days?
Yeah, well, I have to check on how the calculations was done. It's across the nation. You remember that NFA is only for emergency. So yun ang hindi ko I will have to discuss with them how they are coming up with that 2 days. But of course, really, their stocks really is very low. We really need to beef up their stocks, and there are some ways by which we have identified also for them to help them beef up their stocks. And one of them is contract growing, no? Yeah, one of them is contract growing, no? So that targeted na kung meron na silang pagkukuhanan ng buffer stocks nila. The mechanics of it will be discussing it, but I think it's already more or less in place. I think we're going to be starting it, especially kahit ngayon na. I think they have already talked with the National Rice Program na meron na silang kinakausap na mga cooperatives at saka mga groups of rice na all their produce will go to NFA.
And how true is the statement, ma'am, of the Federation of Free Farmers that rice from the NFA is being sold in Kadiwa stores at ginagamit din daw po ng mga LGU na pang-ayuda yung bigas ng NFA, kaya nauubos ang buffer stock?
Ang alam ko nang gagaling yung binibigay ng is Unigrow ba yun? Unigrow yung binebenta sa Kadiwa is really from Unigrow. Hindi ko alam na kung sa NFA yun. And Kadiwa, Amas never mentioned about this the rice being sold in Kadiwa from NFA. Hindi ko pa narinig yun.
I can explain yung contract growing.
Go ahead, sir.
Yeah.
For the contract growing with NFA, the scheme is really to ensure that NFA can buy directly to our farmers, yung local produce. So we'll be giving out incentives, the usual na binibigay aside from the usual seeds, fertilizer, and machinery na binibigay. NFA can provide additional incentive of about 250 pesos for the drying. So it could range from 21 to 22 yung magiging buying price nila, especially for ito yung darating na anihan na wet season. And ang utos ni Presidente is to ensure na magkakaroon ng bibilihin from the local produce ang National Food Authority.
Okay. USEC and ASEC, maybe would like to also expound further on the President's directive on El Nino preparations for next year's impending drought.
Yeah, I think Arnel will be able to do that better.
For the El Nino, kung titingnan natin historically, malaki yung damage sa rice and corn nung strong and severe. Pero yung projection ng Pag-asa, there will be about 50% strong. So yun ang pinaghahandaan ng Department of Agriculture when it comes to El Nino. And all the necessary interventions ay again na-coordinate natin with our regional field offices so as to ensure na responsive tayo dito sa magiging epekto ng El Nino. Nag-declare na ang Pag-asa, and based of them, it will persist until early parts of 2024.
We need to coordinate very closely with the National Irrigation para dun sa timing ng planting of rice. And I think sana itong nasa dams natin ngayon, will last for that, no?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Tumaas naman yung mga dams natin.
Any other questions? Go ahead, Eden.
May phone-in tanong po. Yun daw po 20 pesos na kada kilo ng bigas na pangako ng Pangulo, how soon or achievable pa rin po ba ito? Sa mga palengke po hindi po sa Kadiwa.
Medyo mahirap kung sagutin yan kasi kung as of now, parang hindi pa natin yan ma-achieve. But in the long run, pagka talagang gumanda ang ating productivity, and that is what DA is really aiming for, the government is aiming for. But posible yan na nabababa. Pero sa mga nangyayari ngayon, fertilizer cost, fuel cost, tapos itong mga El Nino, back-to-back typhoons natin, hindi natin makikita yan in the short run. But over the long run, if we are able to increase our productivity, I think it's achieved. We can achieve that. And of course, tulong-tulong talaga para pag-achieve niyan.
Okay. No more questions? Very good. Thank you so much, Yusek Sombilla and Asek de Mesa of the Department of Agriculture. And thank you so much, Malacañang Press Corps. Have a good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you.